Okay, so we talked about expanding, right? Now we're going to talk about condensing. So we made it so that there was more than one log. Now we have more than one log and we want to make it into one. And I didn't know if I actually went into detail of like, oh yeah, that's expanding because we're making it more than one. All of these have more than one. Okay. Now let's talk about condensing. And this is often what we do when we have to solve, which you'll do when I get back, is that we have to condense. We have to make it so that it's one log. Okay, so let's look at this first one. I see subtracting here. Well, subtracting means dividing. So this always goes on the top. This is always on the bottom. Okay, first is always on top. So it's log base 4 of 7 over 10. And that, my friends, was it. I actually always think condensing is way easier than expanding. But yeah. You guys can do the next one. Let's look at this one with 6 in front, this natural log over here. Remember, if we have any numbers in front, we're kind of doing the opposite of what we just did. Okay, this is the kid and he needs to go back to the back of the class or the back of the line, and same with here. So first, move coefficients, so the numbers in front, to the back. So now I have natural log x to the 6th plus natural log y to the 4th. Now this adding means that we are going to multiply. So now we have natural log, and this is just one, x to the 6th, y to the 4th. And that's how we know we're done. One and done. Okay, I think I've said that before about other things. But wow, that was a horrible box. And that's your answer. Okay. Let's do this one, and then we'll do one of the longer ones and be done. Once again, anytime we have a number, we're going to move it to the back. Okay, and remember, this is a fraction. A fraction exponent, when it gets moved to the back, it becomes 1/3. A fraction exponent means a radical. Okay, fraction exponent means radical. And in this case, this number is going to be 3 because that bottom number is 3. Okay, so we have log base 5 to the 4th, or 4, plus log base 5 cube root of x. Now this plus means we multiply, so we have log base 5 of 4 times the cube root of x. You're not going to have many of those on your homework. You will have a few of them because it's the one place we need to review those fraction exponents. And that's your answer. Okay, now let's look at one of these bigger ones. Let's look at this one. Okay. Once again, I'm going to start by putting all of these in the back. Squared. Squared. Okay. Now, this is the only one that's positive. Oops, press those off because I moved them. This is the only one that's positive. All of these are being subtracted, which means that both of these have to go on the bottom because they're being subtracted. So I'm going to have log base 3 of 1/2 squared. I don't like that. Over x times 4 is 4, or we'll go x times 4 squared. And then we're going to kind of simplify this further. Okay, 1/2 squared, I didn't do that. That's just 1/2 times 1/2, which is 1/4. So that becomes 1/4 over, well, 4 squared is 16, so we have 16x. Now, I don't really like that either, right? If you were to give me that on the test, I might be like, I guess that's okay. But I would hate that with a passion. So in my calculator, I can go 1/4 divided by 16. And that will give me an answer. Okay, and that's what I want you to do. It gives it to me, if you give, hopefully it gives it to you in a fraction, and it's 1/64. And so then my actual answer should be log base 3 of 1/64x. And yes, I know that's ugly, and you're probably like, oh my gosh. Rewatch it. Okay, the steps I took for this last one, these went to the back. Okay, everything with a minus sign has to go on the bottom. So x has to go on the bottom, 4 squared has to go on the bottom. Okay, this 1/2 is squared. And so then I just simplified everything. 1/2 squared is 1/4, right? 4 squared is 16. And then 16 times x is just 16x. Okay, this is ugly. No, like we don't ever see that in math, right? So I just took my calculator and went 1/4 divided by 16 and got 1/64, right? But that x still has to be on the bottom. So it's 1/64x. And that's my final answer. And that's all for condensing. Okay, go ahead and try some of those other ones on your own. Actually, you don't even really, you can try these ones on your own. However, this is a guided lesson and there's practice problems for you to do. Okay, and I think there's like 3 for each of these sections.